Mitsubishi ASX GSR vs Haval Jolion Ultra Comparison Review. Two rivals, one quite new, one getting on a bit, fight it out in the compact SUV value for money stakes. Not all compact SUVs are made equal. Some look amazing, some are loaded with tech, some are more fun to drive, some are dirt cheap and feel it. They come from just about every major car-making country on Earth, too, such is their popularity. Here we have two seemingly similar competitors. They've got two of the biggest interiors in the segment and are two of the sharpest priced. Dig a little deeper, though, you knew this was coming, and you'll find a few differences. One of the most intriguing differences is that one has been on sale for just a year. The other one is probably a year or so from being replaced after more than a decade on the market, having been a hot seller for a good chunk of that decade. The price here is the key, though, with the Haval Jolion and Mitsubishi ASX priced seemingly against each other in a fiercely fought part of the market. This is the battle of two bang-for-your-buck SUVs. Pricing and features. The ASX GSR starts off with a $31,990 price tag, before on-road costs. The GSR is a fairly recent entry in the ASX lineup, reviving an old badge first seen 40 years ago on the Lancer. For nerd points, the ASX is based on the platform of the final Lancer first sold here in the mid-2000s. Featuring 18-inch alloy wheels, a 6-speaker stereo, climate control, reversing camera, keyless entry and start, rear parking sensors, cruise control, auto LED headlights with auto high beam, leather wheel and gear selector trim, power windows all-round, auto wipers and a space-saver spare, it's not a bad start. The Haval Jolion Lux rolls in at $33,990 drive away, with 18-inch alloys, reversing camera, multi-view cameras, front and rear parking sensors, fake leather trim, digital dash, 12.3-inch touchscreen, dual-zone climate control, powered and heated front seats, leather-trimmed steering wheel, LED lighting, including headlights, daytime running lights and fog lamps, 6-speaker sound system, panoramic sunroof, wireless charging pad, head-up display and a space-saver spare. Both feature touchscreens but they couldn't be more different. The Mitsubishi's is a basic 8.0-inch unit with a mix of touch and physical controls, with the obligatory Apple CarPlay and Android Auto along with DAB+ digital radio. And not much else. The Jolion's 12.3-inch unit is a modern beast, with lots of features packed in at the expense of a lot of physical switches and knobs, such as climate control. It's absolutely filled with settings and functions, some of which are perfectly at home, some that really should be easier to get to, easier to use or properly positioned for a right-hand drive car, like the seat heating controls. Overall, specifications are where you really notice the age gap between the two cars. The Jolion is packed with contemporary technology for similar money. On the safety front, the ASX has 7 airbags, including a driver's knee airbag, blind spot monitoring, forward auto emergency braking, up to 80 km per hour, forward collision warning, lane departure warning and rear cross traffic alert. The Jolion matches the 7 airbags but the 7th is a center front airbag to help prevent head clashes and side impacts. It also has the usual braking and stability controls, secondary collision avoidance, forward and reverse AEB, rear cross traffic alert, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, lane centering, emergency lane keep assist, traffic sign recognition and blind spot monitoring with lane change assist, further underscoring the Jolion's comparative modernity. Both have 3 top tether anchors and 2 sets of ISO FIX points. A 5-star NCAP safety rating adorns the ASX, although it does stretch back to 2014. The safety specification has drastically improved on the Mitsubishi since then, but today's much tighter set of NCAP rules make it unlikely that the ASX would renew a 5-star rating. It's not a bad spec, but as the Jolion and other rivals show, it's a solid start. The Jolion is yet to be tested by ANCAP, but with that very long list of features and the center front airbag, it would be wholly unsurprising if the Haval scored the maximum rating, as its larger and closely related H6 sibling did. Buyers of both can choose from just one free color, white. While a Mitsubishi dealer wants a hefty $740 or $940 for metallic paint, depending on the color, the Haval dealer will instead try and extract a more reasonable $495. Neither has any factory options, comfort and space. Where these two really shine is in interior space. The ASX has a textile suede and fake leather upholstery combination that looks a lot better than it sounds. Apart from being quite comfortable, particularly in summer when the suede panels won't scorch you as much as leather does, it looks quite good and matches the darker theme of the GSR. I personally prefer this upholstery, but that's definitely a subjective call. The interior design of the ASX is very simple and completely unadventurous. There's a lot of hard plastic in the structures and, once again, it shows the age of the car. In the Jolion you have great swaths of fake leather not only on the seats but on the dashboard. The Jolion has a more interesting mix of materials than the Mitsubishi, although gray plastic dominates both. Both feature cup holders in the front and rear, bottle holders in the front doors. The Jolion also has them in the rear, and places for your phone in the front. You also get 2 USB-A ports up front in both and 2 USB ports in the back, although the ASX has the more modern USB-C, unsympathetically cut into the vent-free console. The Jolion counters with air vents, a near-flat floor and, despite the ASX having a pretty good helping of legroom, the Haval trounces it. Both have heaps of headroom, too, but the Jolion's cabin is slightly wider than the ASX's. In terms of boot space, Haval again shades Mitsubishi, with 433 liters against 393 L. In practice, that's not a huge amount of difference, and if you had them side by side, you'd think they were basically the same. With the seats down, the Jolion's 1133 liters is actually slightly smaller than the ASX's 1143L, but again, you're hardly going to notice. So we can call boot space even. Back seat accommodation goes to the Jolion and overall accommodation also goes to the Haval. On the road, as I said earlier, these two cars are at opposite ends of their life cycle. The ASX stretches right back to the mid-2000s Lancer platform, while the Jolion rides on GWM's very modern, if unfortunately titled Lemon B30 platform. Like the ASX, the platform is shared with other cars, in this case, the H6 and tremendously named Big Dog, a car we don't get in Australia. The two cars diverge markedly under the bonnet. Mitsubishi's venerable 2.4-liter four-cylinder petrol is the more powerful of the two, with outputs of 123 kilowatts and 222 Newton-meters. With an automatic continuously variable transmission, CVT, turning the front wheels, it's a fairly low drama, tried and true kind of driveline. Under the Jolion's bonnet is a 1.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder petrol producing 110 kilowatts and 210 Newton-meters, driving the front wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. All very modern and a lot more complex, but, unusually, that hasn't resulted in higher servicing costs, at least not for the first 5 years. Unfortunately for the Haval, modernity does not translate into superior drivability. The engine itself seems reasonably flexible, but it's hard to tell through the vagaries of the 7-speed dual clutch. I'm a big fan of the slick rotary dial selector, something I never say because most of them aren't very good, but the clutch engagement from a standstill or switching between drive and reverse is not very slick at all. The gearbox is also not very adept at picking the right gear when you're driving around the suburbs, holding third until you either pull the paddle or give the accelerator a prod in the way your partner might use their elbow when you say the wrong thing at dinner. Helpfully, the Jolion recovers some ground by having a smoother ride, although it's not quieter. With torsion beam rear suspension, it doesn't look better on paper than the ASX's multi-link rear, but there's quite a gap between the ride quality of the pair. The ASX bumps around on less than perfect surfaces and dislikes speed bumps, whereas the Jolion sounds like it should be bumping around but doesn't. Both have similarly low communication steering setups, the ASX's wheel in particular not helped by being slightly too small for my liking. Not everyone agrees.